I'm already messing up. Fact. A cow bison hybrid is called a beefalo. You can even buy its meat in at least 21 states. Okay, a beefalo. Okay. Fact. Scotland has 421 different words for snow. Some examples. Sneasel. Sneasel, Fleefel, and Flinkendrinken. So, Sneasel means to start raining or snowing. Fiefly, to swirl. And Flinkendrinken, a light snow. Fact. I'm not sure why I'm doing that so dramatically. Samsung tests the durability of its phones with a butt-shaped robot. People stash their phones in their back pockets all the time, which is why Samsung created a robot shaped like a butt to sit on their phones to make sure they can take the pressure. Believe it or not, the robot even wears jeans. I've actually heard they were apple bottom jeans. Oh, this is actually a really interesting one. The Windy City nickname has nothing to do with Chicago's weather. If you live in Chicago, you might already know this random fact, but we're betting most other people don't. Chicago's nickname was coined by 19th century journalists who were referring to the fact that its residents were windbags and full of hot air. Now imagine being shaded so much that that shade just becomes synonymous with like who you are. Like that's what Chicago is. You know what I mean? Like they were like the Windy City. Everybody here is a windbag, and it stuck. And to be fair, you know, most people would never think of that. You know what I mean? Because I literally thought it must mean the Windy City. I've never been there before, and I don't think I've ever once heard somebody talking about how crazy the wind was in Chicago. But I kind of just assumed, you know, it's called the Windy City because it's windy. So, but no, it's windy because everybody there's a windbag, according to journalists in the 19th century. Fact: armadillo shells are bulletproof. In fact, one Texas man was hospitalized when a bullet he shot at an armadillo ricocheted off the animal and hit him in the jaw. That's a truly true animal tidbit. Okay, well, actually that's kind of crazy. Ooh. Fact. You know, this thing feels awfully far away. Look, now we're really close again. How do I pull you back? Pull you back. Okay. Some octopus species lay 56,000 eggs at a time. On average, a giant Pacific octopus will lay 56,000 eggs at the end of a pregnancy. Over the course of about a month. At first, these new babies float through the surrounding water unattached to one another or their mother, but then the mother gathers each egg, which is about the size of a grain of rice, and weaves them into braids, allowing her to keep an eye on everyone at the same time. So let's just take a moment to think about that. 56,000. I don't know. I don't understand nature sometimes, right? So, like, an incredibly overly fertile human can have what, like 6 doublets, which is what, like 6 babies or something like that, right? Or maybe 8. I don't know. John and Kate plus 8. She had 8 babies, right? And then Octomom had like a billion. So, like, less than a dozen babies, though, right? And you look at the population of Earth and our so-called, what? I think we're up to 6 billion. It's crazy because I remember when we're only at, apparently, at alleged 3 or 4 billion, and now they're saying we're at 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. Crazy. But 56,000 eggs from a single octopus. So I'm just like, now obviously, a great deal of those don't make it, you know what I mean? But 56,000, like, what if all of those were successful? And so apparently they're pregnant for a month and they have 56,000 eggs. I mean, just think about the math of that real quick. Like, what is nature thinking? Like, why is anything able to reproduce like this? I mean, granted, because of how, like, the sea is like the Wild West, so 56,000 of these probably only ends up being like maybe a few hundred, which is kind of crazy. But still, you know what I mean? Like, what if all the circumstances fit right? Like, just those numbers are really bizarre to me. But it's like a lot of insects and certain animals have really bizarre reproduction rates. You know what I mean? They can just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. I mean, some animal species are like literally bacteria. Like, they just grow and grow and grow. Like, left to their own devices, they would take over. Kind of like humans. Okay. Fact. There were active volcanoes on the moon when dinosaurs were alive. Most of the volcanoes probably stopped erupting about 1 billion years ago. Is that all? But NASA findings have suggested there might still have been active lava flow 100 million years ago, when dinosaurs were still roaming. Okay, so space is a whole thing, right? So space is just such a rabbit hole to dive down into. I don't even know if I want to start with that, because it's like, what? That's insane, right? Just space, dinosaurs, evolution, life, all kinds of things. Just, it's crazy. Okay. I knew this one, but fact, and I knew this one. Human noses and ears get bigger as we age. I don't remember where I learned this, but I learned it a long time ago, probably as a kid. But I remember I have an argument with somebody because they were about a celebrity, and they had clearly had a nose job, and they were like, no, they grew into their nose. Like, first of all, like, the nose is one of like the few body parts that never stop growing. You know what I mean? It does not get smaller. You know what I mean? So, like, literally, your fave's nose got smaller. So they had some work done, buddy. But yeah, so your nose just kind of keeps growing, which is kind of crazy. Hopefully, if you're lucky, it goes proportionately. I think my nose, has sort of grown proportionally with my face. I feel like it was so much bigger when I was. Am I contradicting myself now? No. But in terms of my overall face ratio, I feel like my nose kind of dominated a bit more back then. I mean, my nose is still pretty big, don't get me wrong. Especially if I do one of these numbers. Could you imagine if I just regularly look like this? Like, I actually do know somebody who kind of has a nose like that. But if I just like, you know, would you still watch me? Probably not. Or would I have like 10 billion subscribers by now? Fact. No number before 1000 contains the letter A. So this is a weird fact that doesn't really make any sense to me. Movie trailers originally played after the movie. They trailed the feature film, hence the name. The first trailer appeared in 1912 and was for a Broadway show, not a movie. What was the point of the trailer? I mean, I just sat through the whole thing. Well, actually, you know what? There might be some means to that madness. Because if you think about it, like if you're in a theater and you just watched like some crazy long James Cameron movie, or I don't know, some thing by Marvel, and at the very end of the movie, after all the secret extra scenes in the credits, there was the trailer. You know what I mean? You might remember the movie even better because there had been like a part in that trailer like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part. It would probably spread word of mouth a bit better, actually. So maybe they should bring that back. But I think part of the issue is that people don't wait until the trailer. People wouldn't wait until the very end to watch the trailer. They would just get up and go, right? Let's just read a couple more. Fact. Paint used to be stored in big bladders. Repeat. Paint used to be stored in pig bladders. The animal. The bladder would be sealed with a string and then pricked to get the paint out. This option wasn't the best because it would often break open. American painter John G. Rand was the innovator who, in the 19th century, made paint tubes from tin and screw caps. Big bladders just does not seem efficient whatsoever. How did that even? Oh, you know what? I imagine paint was pretty expensive when it first hit the market, so you probably had to be pretty rich to get it anyways. So your house was just whatever material you made it out of. So, there didn't need to be like a crazy high amount of big bladders laying around, even though it's still probably a crazy number, right? But it wasn't like, every house on the street's white, or, you know what I mean? Like, Crunch's full name is Horatio Magellan Crunch. He's also been called out for only having the bars of a Navy commander, but so-called captain held his ground on Twitter, arguing that doing the SS Guppy with his crew makes an official captain in any book. Okay. Horatio Magellan Crunch. Fact: the MGM Lion Roar is trademarked. At the start of any movie made by Metro Goldwyn Mayer Studio, the iconic lion roars at the audience. While MGM has gone through several iterations of lion mascots, the sound of the roar is always the same. The company trademarked the sound mark with the United States Patent and Trademark Office in the 1980s. Wow, that wasn't actually that long ago. Believe it or not, these famous... Oh. Okay, yeah, never mind that. But yeah, so, I mean, that's not surprising that it was trademarked. But, you know, I would have thought that would have been trademarked, like, I don't know, ages before the 80s. This one's a really interesting one. Fact: adult cats are lactose intolerant. So, right away. Okay, wait. Okay, hold on. Like some humans, adult cats don't have enough of the lactase enzyme to digest lactose from milk, causing them to vomit, have diarrhea, or get gassy. Cats only have enough of that enzyme when they're born and during the early years of their lives. I remember as a kid pitting out a bowl of milk for the stray cats. And it was all in the Disney movies and cartoons. Yeah, giving the cats milk. But we were giving them gastrointestinal problems, apparently. Unless they were kittens. That's still kind of crazy, though. I bet you dogs aren't lactose intolerant. Okay. Oh, I think this is the last one, but it's weird. Albert Einstein's eyeballs are in New York City. They were given to Henry Abrams and preserved in a safety deposit box. Abrams was Einstein's eye doctor. He received the eyeballs from Thomas Harvey, the man who performed the autopsy on Einstein, and illegally took the scientist's brain for himself. There's a lot to digest with that last one. So, what? So, one guy got his eyeballs and apparently preserved them in a safety deposit box, which is crazy, okay? Like the disrespect, but then the other guy just stole his brain. What is really going on? I remember hearing something about, like, they had, like, John F. Kennedy's brain preserved or something, and they had it in, like, double L's or something, and then someone stole the brain or something. Who does these things and why? Like, why are you keeping the brain of some of these people? Now, Albert Einstein, that sort of makes sense because he is allegedly the super genius, right? And, you know, you would want to study that brain. even though you would wonder, like, how much could we learn from the brain after it's already, you know, decades old and dead, at that point, you know what I mean? But why the eyeballs? Why did someone take his eyeballs? And I do think maybe someone said that he couldn't see very well. It's just crazy to me. And like, how does that work for like the families and things like that? Like, was he like, you know, did he know he was donating to science? And such. I remember I went to some museum when I was a kid, and it had this awful, like, human body anatomy of like every single, like, it was awful. It was like I had all the like nerves and the things that went there and there, and it's crazy. But it was like that person, like, he literally knew that was going to happen. He donated his body to science for like things like that. Still, it's crazy to me. But what if you don't donate your body to science and someone's just carrying your brain around? Especially if you're big and famous, you know what I mean? Nowadays, I imagine that would be kind of frowned upon. But back in the day, they did crazy stuff like that all the time, apparently. And they're just grave robbing left and right, basically. It kind of reminds me of this thing I remember where it was like, I think it was some mummies, like, they had unearthed some mummy's tomb or whatever, and like the body was really well preserved, and then they took it and like put it in some museum, and I don't know, like, it just, when I was younger, that sounded awesome, you know what I mean? But now, as I'm older, it's like, because it's not like it was just kind of like randomly found in like someone's backyard and by accident, you know, like they were literally digging to find things of that nature. So they found a coffin and a body, and they were like, okay, well, we're gonna take this body out the coffin and we're gonna put it somewhere on display. Yeah. It just makes you wonder about a whole lot of things, you know what I mean? Like, once again, let's not get into all of the metaphysical blah, 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 blah. Anyways, we're done. Those were just all of the really random facts that I stumbled upon recently that I thought I would just inform you about, you know, and facts that will probably come in handy for you one day in your life. So you're welcome. I've got a bit of a scratch in the back of my throat, and it just started. So not a scratch, but like a burning. So yeah. Can you guys hear me from there? Pretty sure my gain's like super duper low. So you probably can't hear me from there. Honestly, it's probably a good thing that you can't, because if you could, I'd probably just make all my future videos just like this, laid back, like, hey guys, it's another Whisper Rainbow. And then I just like talk until I like nod off to sleep. And then it becomes one of those sleep camp videos. I'm actually super tired right now. So, yeah. Hope you're having a good day, a good evening, a good night, a good morning, a good day, a good week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you've been enjoying all the other content. And let me know what you think of everything. How am I doing as a channel to you? Did you make it this far in the video? Probably not. When I started leaning back like this, you probably tuned out. You're like, okay, well, this is done now. And honestly, I don't blame you. So I'm basically talking to myself which honestly I pretty much mostly do anyways in these videos. So if you make it past like 30 seconds of like one of my videos, wow. Anyways, I think you catch that? You see, I've become so acclimated to the planes just flying over willy-nilly that I barely even notice them. And that one was pretty loud. And I noticed it right at the tail end. That's crazy, right? Thanks for watching the video. I think we can all agree that it's time to go. So, let's do our little wink thing and call it a day.